Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and today I'm going to try playing American Truck Simulator again. So let's quickly find something to work on. Preferably the external contracts are a little bit easier to deal with. Let's carry pesticides. That sounds like fun. And it is 705 miles. Alright, let's make it happen. Okay, let's get started. It should be... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, we've got a little bit of a problem. Basically, my controller's acting up a little bit. Maybe it's working now. It's lit up like it's supposed to be, so maybe we're good. It's kind of like this haze gray color when you're using it to play a game. Whereas normally it's kind of like an RGB sort of thing. There we go. Okay. Alright. Now we gotta go that way. Be a little bit careful. Alright, let's get out of the middle of the road. As much fun as that might be. It's not a particularly good idea. Definitely went a little far on that turn. Alright. Straighten out the mouse a little bit. Alright, now I'm currently in gotta go just down the street to pick up a tanker trailer filled with pesticides. Which, given my background with environmental protection when I was in the Marine Corps, I'm not too fond of carrying pesticides, but the job pays well. And we just gotta get over to somewhere on the eastern side of New Mexico. So that's pretty cool. Alright. Of course I need to be in the left lane. Alright. Shift back down to third gear. It's just a bobtail, so we can do that. Get over there. Is this Mustang or Charger? Now let me do it. It's kind of just like when you're playing Train Sim World and the AI just has no chill. But to be fair, I am driving slow. In case you're wondering, that is not the proper way to downshift. But the way the transmission works in this game, it's kind of like a car with 18 gears. Which is like the only way I can describe how this game works. Way to the chemical plant. If I remember correctly, this place is a little bit hard to get into. They kind of use like a template for a lot of the like companies, and the actual plants are kind of a pain. most places want you to go like 15 in their yard anyway. At least all the places I've been to, that's what they want you to do. Alright, it is the middle one? No, it's the one farthest. It's that one right there. Alright. Let's cut the wheel a little bit more. Get slightly better lined up with it. Basically what you want is you want to look in your panel mirrors and see the same kind of like amount of the trailer in both mirrors. And with the more realistic setting in the game, you kind of have to be like pretty dead on for it to go into the fifth wheel. But the thing with that is there is a couple of inches in the pocket of the fifth wheel. And as you can see, I'm like instinctively like looking all the way over to the right because I'm used to looking completely over my shoulder in order to see these things. Okay. Alright, now we know this is going to be heavy, so we're going to put this down into first gear. But yeah, there's a couple of inches back there, like, I don't know, maybe like 8 to 10, where there's like this angled groove in the fifth wheel, where as long as you have the, as long as you're mostly in the center, you've got some wiggle room to hook up to the trailer. The thing you have to worry about is whether or not the trailer's at the right height when you connect to it. So, like, the game gave me the prompt to lower the suspension. I'll have to check in my key bindings, because I don't think I have that mapped to anything. So I may not be able to mess with the, I might not be able to mess with the suspension. But your first choice would not be to lower the suspension anyway. Your first choice would be to make sure that the trailer is up at the right height. So you would adjust the landing gear on the trailer long before you mess with the suspension on your truck. Now, a lot of like newer trucks, let's see. Oh yeah, we do have a suspension release. Yeah, that's that top switch to the right of the gauge cluster. Basically, we have air bags on the suspension of the truck, and you can let the air out of the bags to kind of like lower the back of the truck down a little bit more. But it's not that that's hard to do, it's just it doesn't give you much in the way of like clearance. It's kind of right up there with moving the fifth wheel itself. It's not gonna give you much for how hard it is to do, if that makes even the slightest bit of sense. So your first choice, if the trailer is too low, your first priority is going to be to raise the trailer. So you're going to crank up, or you're going to lower the landing gear to try to raise it up a little bit farther. And the thing about doing that, though, if the trailer's loaded, that is going to be hard. You are not going to have a fun time if you're cranking by hand up 46,000 pounds. I've had the pleasure of doing that before. Absolutely not a good time. Alright. I guess potentially I misjudged it. It might not be all that heavy. But tankers with chemicals aren't exactly light. But being a tanker, it's got a couple of things that make it slightly more difficult by itself. Specifically a liquid tanker, because the liquid can move. Now, the good news is this is a chemical tanker carrying pesticides, so it's probably safe to assume that this tanker is baffled. So there are kind of like these barriers inside of the trailer that prevent the liquid from, or it slows moving forward and backwards. There are like little openings that fluid can pass through them, but it kind of hinders motion forward and backwards. But the baffles don't do anything to stop movement from side to side. So basically when you go around like, or even with little things like changing lanes, but when you go around corners, things like that, you have to do it carefully because the liquid in the tanker, or the liquid in the tank, is going to move. and you'll notice, looking in the panel mirror right there, that the center of gravity is pretty high off the road. So if you if you turn sharply and the liquid like slams up against one of the sides, basically it's not going to be hard for you to roll. So liquid tankers are a little bit tricky. Now, while I have my tanker endorsement, I have not had the pleasure of actually using, or not actually pulled one before. And we are going slow. I got the pedal all the way to the floor, but I can't shift up yet. This game actually does simulate that you can roll, so bear that in mind. You absolutely can roll. It doesn't do the best at simulating like the truck as a whole, but at least things like backing up and some aspects of driving down the road, it does show you some of those things. Driving a truck's not necessarily hard, but I don't think I would call it easy. Like, there are certain parts of it that it requires a little bit of technical knowledge in order to do it. And this is one of those times where basically I'm just trying to keep my speed consistent. But in the past, I've had experiences on this road where I actually have flipped the truck and trailer. So I'm trying to keep it slow enough to prevent that from happening. But since I'm also driving a manual with a shifting lever, it's a little bit tricky. And then you got to be careful when you're going downhill because you don't want it to get out of control. And I can't remember if the Jake brake cancels the cruise control. It probably does. The only truck I've driven that it didn't cancel the cruise control, I want to say, was a Freightliner. Oh wait, no, it was the other way around. The Freightliner did cancel the cruise control because you had to manually activate it. But when I had the Kenworth, you kind of just set the Jake brake and then it just kind of comes on when it needs to. So you just you pick like a setting that's fitting for the load you're carrying and the terrain you're driving over, and you kind of just like set it and forget it until you get somewhere like, say, the Ohio Turnpike, and you go past a lot of like residential areas. where they tell you to turn off your engine brake, but realistically, in that specific area, you don't need it anyway. Even if you're at like 79,000 pounds, you're not going to need it. That area is like flat. Now, that is not true for all of Ohio. That's just the northern part up by the turnpike. And the thing about taking these turns, you'll notice the speed limit signs, but you have to remember that the speed limit for the turn does not have trucks in mind. Normally. Some of them are specifically labeled as being the speed limit for a truck, but most of them aren't. So you have to remember that whatever's on the sign, you need to be under it. But when you're carrying something heavy, you also have to remember that you can't go too slow. Otherwise you won't make the turn. Or otherwise you won't get it. You won't, if there's like a hill or something, you won't get up it. Stuff like that. Okay. And I gotta keep an eye on my fuel, keep an eye on the sleep meter thing. I still love how they actually have like the realistic highway sobriety signs. Like, I have actually seen that many times driving down the highway. I freaking hate them. They're like the dumbest thing, but they serve a purpose. Don't drink and drive. It's just crazy when you've been like stuck in traffic for like 5 hours, and then you pull past this like reader sign that's like "Drive hammered, get nailed," and then you're just like, I'm not trying to hear this right now. Can you go somewhere else with that? Or my personal favorite around New Year's and the 4th of July, you are not a firework, don't drive lit. And then I'm just like, I'm just trying to get to New Jersey. Why do you gotta be like this? Let's see if I can successfully get up to my cruise control. I guess when the game updated, it changed a few things, or I should say it reverted a few things. Is like a couple of things were messed up. Like the multifunction display was on the wrong setting. Stuff like that. But, as you already know, I didn't even have my controller working. I didn't have my keypad working properly. And I used the keypad to put in a couple, or map the extra buttons you need to play the game. the center line, and you definitely don't want to do that. In this specific case, even though you have better, you can see your driver's side mirror better, it's a lot better to stay closer to the right. Yeah, you risk going over the rumble strip, but you're away from the dividing line. Nobody's going to clip your mirror. Which, that actually is a real thing you have to watch out for. So the hope is, with 460 miles to go, hopefully we can maintain a decent speed, and not like the last time that or the first time that I played it after I took a long break and hadn't played it for like years. I got back in and I was like 100 miles away and I rolled into a ditch. It was great. But to be fair, that entire day was just like bad for me attempting to stream. I kept like disconnecting. It was just a nightmare. Alright, let's get away from this cement truck. Yeah, the cement truck definitely would have just merged into me. That would not have been fun. Alright, trailers over the line. Resume cruise control. Driving on the highway is probably the easiest part of the job. But you kind of have to put like a pin in that, because it might be an easy part of the job. It's also where the traffic is. So whenever you hit like construction or something crazy like that, and then there's always like accidents, never-ending construction zones. Then whenever you're around like a major city, the traffic gets worse, especially around like rush hour. So if you're going through a densely populated area between like 3 and 6 p.m., expect to be stuck there for a while. And then if it starts raining, just expect like everything possible to start going wrong. Because people do not like driving in the rain. And then as far as trucks go, driving a truck in the rain is a little bit crazy. Because it takes you longer to stop. And it's not likely to happen, but believe it or not, you can hydroplane a truck. And it's really, really bad if it ever happens. Alright, I gotta remember... Oh, that's not good. Basically, what just happened was American Truck Simulator perfectly simulates people stopping to look at accidents. Oh, and that was actually a pre-pass sensor. But yeah, there's a little... There's like a mini scale in the road that can tell them approximately how much your truck weighs. £70,000. My vehicle is not in perfect condition. Oh, that's fair. I think I did have an accident. But yeah, they have a rough idea of how much your truck weighs, and then they pair that with your company's safety record, and as long as you're not like overweight and you have like a good record, they might tell you to bypass. But if you're like close on one of the axles, they might pull you in to weigh on the main scale, like we just did back there. And then they're gonna double check to see if they're going to inspect your truck or not. And there are 3 levels of DOT inspections. And as you go up in level, it goes up in severity and what exactly they're looking for. And just by being a truck driver operating a commercial vehicle on the road, you're not allowed to say no. If they want to inspect you, they're going to inspect you. It's just gonna happen. Should be almost to New Mexico now. Generally hate when that happens. Like, you know that trucks can't go very fast, especially not when you're loaded. So the traffic that's like merging and trying to get onto the interstate with you, they slow down instead of speeding up. And then you have what happened there in the side mirror. I was trying to speed up because clearly the car wasn't going to speed up. And the car decided, I'm just going to merge anyway. And then they almost went into the trailer. So, you gotta stay on your toes. Otherwise, things can get a little bit crazy really fast. is in 170 miles, about 3 hours. Alright, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay. Now we've got a thumbnail for the stream. And we got to be annoyed by the rumble strips for a little while. Basically, we're running out of time for the day. It was like a 700-mile trip, so it was never going to be in one day. Basically, in short, the rule is you can drive for 11 hours a day, but you can work for 14 hours. And then you have to take a 10-hour break. And the game doesn't really differentiate between those. Like, it just allows you to drive for approximately 14 hours. So it's not quite realistic, but you know what they're getting at. And what do we got? No, I actually didn't need to slow down. Oh well. Speed limit went down to 65, but I can only go 65. I'm not sure if I have the speed limiter on in the game, but the cruise control for me only goes up to 65 anyway. So, pretty much like real life. Except the difference is with the company that I worked for, you could go 63 just pressing the pedal, and 65 with cruise control. And then the specific truck that I had, if it was raining, you couldn't use it. And I don't mean like raining heavily, I mean if you turned on the wipers into the first notch, your cruise control is automatically disabled. We are definitely in New Mexico now. Really weird that the truck is over there in the far left lane. Basically, that's like somewhere you would never see a truck. At least you're not supposed to. Because we all know that we're never going to be the fastest thing on the road. So you generally just keep to the right as much as humanly possible. And the only way you go into the far left lane is if there's something blocking the right lane. places I've been, they all have signs saying no commercial vehicles in the left lane. Although the places that do have those signs, they generally carve out an exception for buses. Let's see, how are we doing? The world map real quick. We are 53 miles away. That's the sign saying the clock's gonna run out. Alright. Let's slow down. The left lane's coming to a close. And the speed limit's 55 anyway. Alright, let's go down to 15. Counts as an accident, or what that is. But realistically, in the game, we started at approximately 9:30 in the morning. So the fact that it's 8:30 right now, we've already gone over our hours of service for the day. But the game doesn't do hours of service in the way that you would think. Or at least it doesn't do it the way that you would really do it. Alright. Stop there. Yeah, this is a fairly heavy load, so Basically, you don't want to be too close to the line. Alright. Let's turn that off. Rest. Of course it is. Okay. And I guess since they mentioned it at the way station, after I drop off this load, I'll have to go to a truck stop and get some repairs done. Probably just like little things like the wheels. Basically, just the stuff you normally get during your pre-trip. Low air pressure, tire treads like a little bit more, stuff like that. Basically, there's just a lot of stuff you gotta keep an eye on with driving a truck. Alright, so we got 136 miles. Estimated to take 2.5 hours. Yeah, that's probably about the estimate I would give. Okay, let's shift up, speed up, see if we can get to the cruise control, get to a good cruising speed. Alright, let's split that. Set the cruise control, even though I was just previously talking about how you don't generally want to use your cruise control in the rain. Because that's a good way to slide. Then you jackknife your trailer, probably kill something. It's going to be a bad day. Granted, that's all assuming that you yourself survive. About the same place I was last time when I rolled, so let's try to not roll this time. Let's go down to 15. Just revving up a little bit high, but we can slow down. That's a Volvo. Yeah, if you're on the road long enough, you can recognize the different types of trucks. And you don't even need to see whatever badge is on the side, you just know it by how everything's configured. And by the way that the cargo hatch is situated, you know that that's a Volvo. There are other ways to know it as well. But that's generally one of the easiest ones. And it would also have like an L-shaped hook in the, or an L-shaped like scoop on the sides of the hood. Like, that's a Freightliner. The long nose ones, it's a little bit harder, but they also kind of build them so that you can, they have like easily recognizable decals and badges. It's just stuff you pick up if you're around enough trucks. Alright, we got 90 miles to go. Like, in real life, by this point, I would already be extremely upset. I absolutely hate, with every fiber of my being, I absolutely hate two-lane roads. I will sit in traffic on the interstate for hours before I ever intentionally go down a two-lane road. If it's more than, say, 30 miles down like a country road, I'm already upset. And we are currently 73 miles away, and we're going down a two-lane road through the desert. I would not be very happy right now. That's probably how you get a speeding ticket in the game. And that's too fast for this gear. Basically, I shifted down too far, but it works for the gear. It's just not the best way to do it. I shouldn't have downshifted that far. But, as we already know, I didn't properly downshift anyway. But this right here is the exact reason why I do not like two-lane roads. Because two-lane road means you're going into, like, a town with either stop signs or just lights in general. And it means you're going to be waiting for, like, nothing. And then, like, this should probably be a light, but it isn't. And since the traffic is kind of like procedurally generated, it's not even like all of the population of the town is clearing the intersection. No, it's just no, that's 9th gear. Definitely don't want 9th. So it's just like you gotta wait for like a lull where there isn't as much traffic, and it's just crazy. But if you're keeping an eye on the tachometer, I'm not shifting at the right range like you're supposed to shift up by like 1200 RPM, whereas I'm shifting at like 2000 RPM. And then you're probably thinking, like, no, that's how you shift a car. You don't rev the truck that high. And you're right. This is absolutely the wrong way to drive a manual truck. But the game doesn't really let you do it right. At least not without some mods. And kind of like the other games that I play, I just don't use any. Like with me driving down the road, traffic is nothing. I can deal with traffic, no problem. Because that's stuff you literally can't control. And it's arguable that you can avoid it, but not really. Unless you want to have like a crazy schedule where you're like driving at like 3 in the morning when nobody's on the road, which I never wanted to do that if I had a choice. I prefer to keep like a normal like sleeping schedule, working during the day, stuff like that. And you just don't always have that luxury. But when it comes to things like country roads and stoplights, you can do something about that. You just don't go to those areas. So if I have to like leave the interstate for an extended period of time, I'm not happy at all. Not too much. How are you doing today? Just driving a truck. Well, an imaginary truck, but you get the idea. Hauling pesticides from Arizona to New Mexico. Downshift to first gear. Because this is still 71,000 pounds. Shift up, shift up. Shift up. High gear. Yeah, you have to learn how to shift really fast driving a truck. I should not have come to a stop there. Don't do that. Go back up to third. It is really cool driving a truck, though. Yes, I do, actually. I just have the normal 7-position shifter for my Logitech steering wheel, but then I got this kind of off-brand splitter and, yeah, range and splitter from Amazon, and I've been using that. So I actually have a fully functional 18-speed shifting system for this game. And what we just did there, I would lose my license. In real life, I have an endorsement to carry hazardous materials. And as part of the requirement for getting that endorsement, I just blew through not one, not two, but 3 railroad crossings. And I have a placarded trailer right now. I should have come to a complete stop, turned on my hazard lights, and proceeded slowly through it. But no, I just completely blew the sign. I would be going to jail right now in real life. Because it's bad enough that you can lose your license doing it once. I did it 3 times. And I'm one of those people that I take my hazmat endorsement very seriously. I'm very proud of it. I even have it on my resume. Even though I only got to haul 2 placarded loads for the company I was with. Are you working on getting the endorsement? Or maybe you're not old enough? I don't know. What would prevent you from hauling it for 2 years? Just curious. This is gonna be fun. Alright, let's turn on my hazard lights. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about how all that works. Alright, let's... Okay, where do you want it? Okay, that should be fine. This game is kind of weird. Like, I've got a tanker, but pretty much the only thing the game shows you is what you do with dry vans and reefers. Like, tankers, flatbeds, oversized loads, you don't back those up anywhere. But we're gonna back this up next to those reefers over there. Like, one time the game told me to back up a tanker to a loading dock, and I'm just like, are they gonna pierce it with a forklift? Like, you don't unload a tanker at a loading dock. Let's go up to 3rd for now. Luckily, backing up is one of the few things the game actually does very well. And you watch like some tutorials and stuff like that where the real companies tell you how to do it. And I watched a few of those videos before I got my CDL, and I tried it in Euro Truck, and then I was like, wow, that's awesome. That actually really works. And then, oh no, I tried the video in American Truck, and then when I actually started my class, we were learning parallel parking, and I was in a truck stop in Euro Truck, and then I was like, while I'm here, let's see if I can do that. Oh, welcome to the chat. Not too much is going on at the moment. I have a tanker trailer filled with pesticides, and I'm gonna try to back it up and park it next to a reefer. Oh no, turn left. Alright, let's see what's going on the other side. Because I definitely don't want to love tap these well cars over here. I mean, I'd prefer not to love tap anything, but it happens in this game. But this is why on every company truck there's always a sticker on the driver's side mirror that says "Get out and look." This is why. 100% always get out and look. Yeah, that's true. Alright, I gotta go forward. Well, I worked for a mega carrier, so that was my experience. Haven't even been driving trucks for long. I did it for a little over a year. I feel like I'm too close. It'll be fine. Something's wrong. Okay, let's get lined up. No, this is gonna go south real fast. Yeah, by this point, the yard workers are already, like, judging me and laughing at me. But we all gotta start somewhere, you know? Even the game is judging me. It's telling me I can just skip backing it up. And it's like, nah, I'm good. It's going in. Put up a little bit of a fight, but... It is kind of cool, though, when you actually, even if you're just, like, starting out, you kind of get to laugh back when you go into, like, something, and it's, like, an absurdly small area that you're trying to back into, and you get the thing in there in, like, your first shot, and then the yard workers are just like, literally everyone that has ever come in here has messed that up, and somehow you pulled it off, How long have you been doing this? 6 months. Alright. I have not had the pleasure of working on an articulated trailer. I've only ever done dry vans. Alright. We need to find a truck stop. Oh, you mean like a Class A dump truck? Yeah, I've never driven one of those either, but I absolutely have seen them. Alright, let's get to this truck stop real quick. Magically, I think the trailer's gone. Oh, no, it's not. It's just I parked it crooked as all hell. In real life, you absolutely want to make sure you have the trailer parked in there straight. Don't just leave it crooked in there and just say to hell with it. That's not a good practice, and that's how you make customers not like you. Third gear. Let's pull up a little bit. Look around. Traffic's kind of sketchy around here. Oh, even the AI can't handle a trailer. He ran over the dividing line too. Alright. Go to third. Although really, when I got my license, we had 10 speeds. So you could go to third gear with an empty trailer. But in the game, this is an 18 speed, so I could probably handle going up to 5th as a bobtail. But don't quote me on that. Yeah, it might. And then the company that I was with, we had 12-speed automatics. So even though I'm allowed to drive a manual, we didn't have any at the company. So I only drove automatics for work. Oh yeah, I have the range and splitter on my wheel here. And good morning. It's been a long time since I've been in Japan. Yeah, I decided to switch it up a little bit today. I went from Derail Valley to American Truck Sim. Wanted to try a few different things. And that is a Freightliner. Hello? Oh, sweet. Thank you for the follow. Alright, let's turn that off. Let's get our truck working again. Because the DOT at the way station didn't like it. Alright. Oh. Yeah, the main things that I like to play on stream, I do a lot of Derail Valley, specifically in VR. A lot of Train Sim World 3. And also American Truck Sim. I'm trying to branch out and do a couple of other games as well, but those are the main ones that I've played sort of consistently. I like American Truck Sim because I was a truck driver in real life, but I'm trying to switch over to work for the railroad instead. So I got into those a lot heavier. I started playing Derail Valley borderline religiously, and kind of the same thing with Train Sim World, but not quite the same. I have not seen them on their TikTok, but I also don't use TikTok. But I have been checking on the Discord for all of the posted videos about it. Basically, I'm just really excited about everything that's coming with the major update. Why am I kept... Oh, yeah. Alright, let's open this back up. And I can see if there's another job. It's maybe not too far away. Going to California. Waste paper. Those suck in real life. It smells horrible. And then to add insult to injury, when I picked it up at the recycled paper mill, it was raining that day, and it was just a nightmare. I hated that load so much. $12,000 to go from New Mexico to Washington. I think they're lowballing me. Yeah, I haven't had to deal with that. About lie. Lie is fun. Why do I have Texas highlighted? I don't have the Texas DLC. Yeah, most of the stuff that I've hauled in real life is a lot of water, Walmart stuff. Every once in a while you'll get like beer, cleaning chemicals, fun stuff like that. So we go over here. get fuel. Yeah, that seems like the way to go. Oh boy. Nope. That is like the worst place for a tree. I didn't do it. I'm kicking my chair back. Empty pallets and jars. Broken trailers. I got some stories about that. I haven't had to actually haul a broken trailer, but I've certainly found them. I was up at a Target distribution warehouse in New York. And I had back-to-back paper deliveries carrying packing paper. And on the first trip, I had to, it's like on the very first trip, I backed up the loaded trailer, and then I found an empty trailer for my company, but whoever wedged it in there, they had it, like, flush up against a trailer adjacent to it. And basically I couldn't see the entire right side of the trailer. And when I got it out, I hooked up to it, pulled it out of the parking spot, and then I was going to open up the doors so that the doors are pinned to the side when you go past the guard shack, so they know it's an empty and they just let you go. Well, I went back to open up the doors, and that was when I seen all four tires on the right side of the trailer were either flat, destroyed, or missing entirely. The suspension was bent. One of the tires had what I can only describe as a gunshot wound. It was wild. So I had to call my company and be like, so I got a destroyed trailer here. Like, what do you want me to do with this? And then they explicitly told me, back it into a parking space. I don't care where you put it. Just put it into a parking space and get it out of the lane of travel. The only thing that is going to happen to that trailer is they are going to tow it to a wreck shop on Monday. So just get it out of the aisleway. So I jokingly called my former mentor that trained me to work for the company that I was with, and I was like, you know how they say whatever you do on New Year's, you're going to be doing all year long? Well, I guess I'm switching to wreck recovery, because I just had to back up a bombed out trailer at this random Target warehouse. And then fast forward a couple of months after that, I got back from my vacation, and I had to go down to pick up a trailer that was impounded. So that became my thing. To start picking up impounded stuff. Not a fun job, by the way. That sounds rough. You certainly see some interesting stuff driving trucks. We're going back to the same rail yard we just delivered to. See, at least that truck stop back there actually looked like a truck stop. It had the proper fuel island where you can fill up both tanks simultaneously. All that fun stuff. Alright. Now this is not... I mean, it says it's a driveway, but no. I'm gonna turn on the hazards right now. Dear God. Okay. Sorry about that. I guess I have to fine-tune how the auto moderator works. I don't have nearly a large enough audience to actually have moderators, so I just have the chat bots. Oh, yeah, that's a bad day. I can honestly say I have not had that happen before. Alright, let's straighten out a little bit. Let's try to keep it centered-ish. Alright. And this is another heavy one, so we gotta start in first gear. They really went out of their way to not mimic the things you see in real life. Those well cars back there should probably say TTX. Instead, they say XXT. But yeah, for the most part, I really like simulator games in general. Flight simulators, truck simulators, trains. Alright, well, it was nice talking to you. I can't really say I have a consistent stream schedule. I kind of just wing it. Alright, let's go down to first gear. Oh, it's 140 miles away. I think this is probably going to be the last one for today. Okay, I don't know why this guy just stopped. Yeah, I try to stream in, like, the morning, and sometimes again in the evening, in, Eastern Standard Time here in the US. Yes, it was nice talking to you. Figure I would just, since I didn't stream Derail Valley for particularly long this morning, or earlier, I figured I would do this one for a little bit longer. So I figured rather than just doing the one job and then just calling it there once I had it backed up, I figured I would do a second job. And since we actually have hazmat once again, I'm going to do the correct thing and stop for the railroad crossing like I'm supposed to. Because I didn't do that last time. Did I? Stalled. Stop. Might as well do it right this time. I say that and then I shift on the tracks, and you don't do that either, because you don't want to stall when crossing a when going across a railroad crossing, because that's how you get killed. It's always crazy how much you have to shift. Like, when I first got my driver's license, I could not drive a manual car to save my life. And the first time I ever drove something with a manual transmission was when I got my motorcycle license. And then when I went to school to get my CDL, they don't want us starting out with having a restriction on your license, so all of the trucks at the school that I went to were all 10-speed manuals. And it was just so crazy, because if you think of, like, the motorcycle, for example, you look at the owner's manual for my bike, and it tells you that shift up every 10 to 15 miles an hour. So going through like the neighborhood at like 25, you can be in like second gear. And that's pretty much it. But then the first time that I drove a truck on the road, because in my program we started off backing for 3 weeks pretty much, and then for the second 3 weeks of a 6-week course, then we get out on the road with an empty trailer. And the very first day when we got into the road part of the course, we went out with a bobtail, so no trailer. And it was crazy because you're already in 6th gear by the time you're going 15 miles an hour. It is like wild. And the way that they taught it to us was whatever's on the speed limit sign, add both numbers together, and that's what gear you should be in. And then when I got to my first actual driving job, we didn't have 10 speeds, we had 12-speed automatics. So basically, whatever gear you're used to going into with a 10-speed, it's automatically going to be about 2 gears higher with the 12. And the company I was with was pretty good. Our trucks were pretty decent. like a cloverleaf junction, I think. Well, not a cloverleaf because it's not 4 ways. Oh, that's not good. I'm not sure why I put the range switch down. It wasn't coming to a stop. Yeah, it's a prime example of how not to drive a manual truck. Is I definitely would have messed up my transmission with just that little stunt there. But to be fair, it's been a very long time since I've last driven a manual in real life. Because the last manual car that I drove was last year, and that was just a 5-speed. Had a rental car when I went over to Romania. Actually, a really nice place. Alright, let's just